Welcome back to In Your Face TV. I'm Rick Alton, your host and publisher of the Independent News. Now this segment's our hot seat. We bring in a community leader or activist who we just want to ask a few hard questions of. Last week we had Joe Roberts. This week we have Susan Watson, who's the regional director of the ACLU. Susan, thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love being in the hot seat.
Now, are y'all a communist organization?
Well, actually, we are a nonpartisan organization. We have people from all kinds of political parties, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, maybe a communist or two. We don't really check party cards.
All right, what's the basic mission of the ACLU?
The mission is to defend the rights of every man, woman, and child in the United States. So we want to make sure that the civil rights and civil liberties of each person is protected.
Now, I've noticed at times that with the ACLU, they've actually at times been had both sides of a case, where they've argued both sides, where they've defended a church or defended someone that was trying to separate church and state.
Right.
And so y'all really do try to live up to your mission.
We do, and I love the integrity of the ACLU just for that fact. It's all about the Constitution and all about the Bill of Rights, and that's our client.
Well, now how big's your staff here? And kind of maybe lay out for us how ACO works. You know, you're a regional, and then you've got the state chapter, and then national.
Right. Well, the organization is made up of 3 tiers: your national level, your state level, and then your regional level, and chapters fall into the regions.
Okay.
I'm a regional director, which means in my region, I goes from the Alabama line to Tallahassee.
Now, how big is your staff?
I am the staff. I'm the entire staff. However, we are getting ready to double in staff in our Northwest office, and we have a offer out for an attorney right now. So we're just ready to hire an attorney.
When y'all get an attorney, it's going to be,
we hope
there'll be people trembling out there in government, I'm sure.
Well, they need not tremble, just so if because we don't go after anybody. You know, we just wait, and the problem is we can always depend on government to do something silly.
Not in Escambia County.
Well, even in Escambia County.
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe, right.
Now, how do you decide your issues? Does national direct you on what you're supposed to do, or how does that work?
That's a great question. Of course, there are national issues that we're all concerned about because they impact us locally. The regional office really makes sure that we protect the civil liberties of everybody in the region. So we focus locally. We look at all kinds of local issues, but that doesn't mean we're not concerned about the national issues that are going on. A hot topic right now is the abuse of power, and what we really want to see is the restoration of the rule of law, so that everybody in...
Now, you're going to have to explain that to me. What do you mean by abuse of power?
I'm talking about the fact that we're spiriting away people off to secret prisons all over the country and all over the world. That's an abuse of power.
The Guantanamo Bay and how we're...
Right, and the secret prisons that are elsewhere. Those are huge concerns. When you have a government that is starting to take people away and disappear them, that's not the United States. That's not what we were... what we grew up with in civics class. It's certainly not. I mean, that's what we heard of the Soviet Union. And we need to make sure that we remain the government that our founding fathers started.
We seem to have lost the moral high ground on some of those issues. Now, I know that you're going to D.C., that y'all have a big conference there. Will you be seeing our Congressman Miller there?
Yes, yes. We have 60 people going from Florida, 20 from the region, this region, which I think
from here to Tallahassee.
I think is great.
That's great.
Yes.
A third.
And we will be taking 12 people in to see Congressman Miller's staff while we're up there. On Tuesday morning, we have an appointment.
What will be some of the topics that y'all are going to bring up, besides
Well,
what we just talked about?
We will definitely bring that topic up. We also may come back to some local concerns that we deal with here locally, and anything that Miller may be able to have an impact on, being our representative to Congress, we'll bring up with him. Lots of national issues, mostly probably with Miller, some local issues that we think he might be able to have an impact with.
Well, locally, what are some of those issues? I know that y'all have been very involved in the Escambia jail. We've had at least two deaths that have happened inside the jail, a third that happened within the last year, a third that happened when someone was being taken to a hospital.
Right. Right. Recently there was one when somebody died at the hospital as well. They were tased in the jail and died.
Oh, I forgot about that. I got to keep a better tally of these deaths. It seems to keep adding up. How many have there been?
You know, I'm not sure exactly what number we're on right now. First there were a large number of deaths. If you remember under Lohman, there were a large number of deaths that were happening out in the field.
Right, and that was really one of the platforms upon which McNesby was elected.
Right.
One reason why groups like Movement for Change and some of the others backed a Republican candidate was because of the large number of deaths that were happening.
Right, and what we're finding now is those deaths are not occurring as often out in the field, but now they're occurring in the jail. So we had, you mentioned the 3 deaths that we had in a 10-month period that just really woke, a lot of the organizations up. I mean, all of a sudden, we realized we had to do something. So we are taking a look at that. ACLU, along with many other organizations, Movement for Change, NAACP, a lot of people that are just interested in oversight of law enforcement are taking a look at these.
Yeah, I know you have been monitoring it. What are some of the changes that you've noticed that seem to be coming into place?
There are a lot of changes and a lot of promises. Some of the changes that we've noticed is just dealing with people that are mentally ill. The 3 deaths in 10 months, those gentlemen were all mentally ill, right? So
we're talking about Robert Bogan, Hosea Bell,
and Prayer.
Right.
Right. So they all had mental illness. Prayer actually was requesting his medication. He knew he was pretty sane when he went in, knowing he needed it. And what happened is he just decompensated as time went on because he wasn't being given anything. So have they changed that policy? Because I know that was one of the things that we heard in doing our stories on the jail, that with Prison Health Services, who runs the Escambia County Jail infirmary, that was one of their policies, was to take people off their meds going in. Right. We call it a drug holiday, So what's changed about that is Prison Health Services is no longer there.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Okay.
Prison Health Services, I understand, lost their accreditation. And
when was that? When did that happen?
They've changed. I don't know the new agency that's doing the jail infirmary now. It's been a couple weeks.
All right. So that's fairly recent.
Right, right. It's very, very recent. But Prison Health Services is no longer there. We'll just have to see what happens with the new health care provider for the jail.
Well, I know he significantly raised his budget this year to throw more money at, according to the announcements that we got, the memos that we got were to improve health services and food services at the jail. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. On your wish list, what would be the thing that you would like to see changed the most in Escambia County? I mean, of all the things that you're working on and the things that you see, what would be the wish list? What would be that thing that you'd like to see happen?
I think this issue, law enforcement, is probably my biggest wish right now. I'd like to see a change in the whole culture of the Sheriff's Department. I think that it's going to take that, a change in the culture inside, both in the jail and in the Sheriff's Department itself. There are many wonderful deputies. There are. I deal with them. I see them. They're just wonderful people. I would like to see the wonderful deputies be showcased and be known. I'd just like to see the whole Sheriff's Department be the professional law enforcement office that they can be. I know they can.